Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by two lovely guests today. Our first guest today, Brett Johnson. He's a comic actor, clown, director. He's working on a show about masculinity. He is an esteemed friend and intellectual. He's been featured on crack.com. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Danny. Good to be here.
Wow, you really went full on Mr. Rogers mode, and I love it. Katie.
Yes.
Our other guest today, stand-up comedian. She's written and voice acted for TV, including Bill Nye and High Guardian Spice. She's an amazing host, actually. She recently hosted Press Jokes, my Echo Park show. And you've seen her wonderful stand-up clips on Instagram, and she is, quote-unquote, fine with being married.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I was laughing at your clip. You're sort of like, yeah, I'm married. It's fine. Do it if you want.
Well, I'm against marriage politically. I think marriage should be abolished as an organizing principle.
Oh.
But my husband had some compelling arguments, which are that he'd like to see me in the hospital, and it was the height of a global pandemic. So I said, fair enough.
Were you in the hospital, or it was
No,
just
he said, like, what if?
What if?
What if?
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
And the domestic partnership would have been more limited of a...
They kind
some
of...
states.
Those are, it's more complicated now that gay marriage is legal.
So that's what sold you. He said, Katie, if you go to the hospital, I want to be there. And you said, okay, we can get married.
Yeah. I was shocked when he proposed because I'm against the concept of marriage. But as he said, I have a lot of opinions. So he thought he'd just toss it out there. And
What
see,
don't
see
you
what
like?
happens.
What's your issue with marriage?
Well, all right. As a woman married to a man, I think you have to spend a lot of time just trying not to slide into heterosexual expectations of marriage. I feel like that's the hardest part of being married to a man as a woman. But also, just as an organizing principle for our society, garbage. Garbage.
What do you propose?
You can share your insurance with anyone you want.
Ooh, that
You
sounds easy.
can get a tax break for other stuff that isn't if you're married. Because that's crazy. That's the other crazy part. My taxes are better.
Your taxes are better because you're married.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Big
pretty
rewards.
marginal,
Big
though.
rewards.
Big rewards.
Is it
but
big? I thought it was kind of
think.
marginal. I ran the numbers.
I mean, it's big to me, but I don't have any money.
It's like a couple grand.
Money. Yeah, a couple grand is a couple grand.
I think there's margin perks you get too.
Margin
Yeah,
perks?
Yeah,
a free
I'm on
cookie with your
side
Subway
perks.
sub.
I'm
yeah,
on his
kinda.
insurance.
That's fair. We love a cookie.
That's true.
You're
The
on his
sharing
insurance. That's big.
I share his insurance. Also, it costs us less to live because we live in an apartment together.
Don't need to be married.
Sort of
I mean, you don't need to be married to do that.
Unless
but
your landlord is super
being in a
conservative.
But I think I think being in a couple is.
But you love him
financially-
dearly.
I do. I'm
That's
obsessed
cute.
with him.
You're obsessed.
I'm
How long have you
obsessed
been
with him.
married?
We've been married for. That's a great question. I'd love to be able to answer it. I want to say 2 years, but I don't know.
And dating, how long before that?
We've been dating since 2016. We got together right before the election.
I
Which was
meet
really-
this motherfucker.
which was great.
He sounds great.
He's the best.
You're obsessed with him
I'm
after
obsessed
that
with him.
long?
You
Yeah.
already want to meet him just from her saying she's obsessed?
Who?
obsessed.
How can you be obsessed with someone you've known for 8 years?
We've known each other a while. And I'm obsessed.
And what is your favorite thing about him?
He's got all the right opinions. I like that about him.
No pressure, brother.
I would
Holy
say all of
moly.
his
What are
opinions
some
are
of
correct.
his opinions? All of his opinions are correct.
Well, not all of them. He likes Christopher Nolan movies, which
You don't like the old Christopher Nolan movie?
I like The Prestige,
The Prestige is very good.
but I hate Inception. I walked out of the theater.
That's honestly disrespectful to my religion, but that's okay.
For a while, I
I
was the only
respect you
person.
walking out.
Thank you.
Instead of just being like, it sucked. And then they're like, did you sit through? And be like, yeah, but.
I hated it.
I kind of feel like if you walk out of Inception, you might open up a rift. I don't know.
That's the thing.
I would
If
be
you fell
careful
asleep
walking
or
out of it.
something.
Yeah, I would be really. Yeah. Oh, falling asleep, very dangerous.
I could have fallen asleep if the seats were more comfortable in the theater, but unfortunately,
So he has all the right opinions.
Mostly.
Mostly, besides the Christopher Nolan
most
one.
of them. Most of them are
That's
good.
a pretty good run, though, if that's your worst opinion.
Well, and he saw Avatar 5 times in theaters. But I found out about that after we got
So
engaged.
cinema,
Selling
things
stuff.
sort of get shaky when
I
you
mean, he
enter.
reviews movies for a living, so
He's a movie reviewer?
yeah, he works for the AV Club.
Oh,
Got it.
that's
for the
kind of
indie
honestly
club.
probably the coolest movie reviewing gig. What if this whole podcast is just about your husband and we
I mean,
all
he's
become
pretty cool.
obsessed with
He's
him?
Roger Ebert.
He's
He's-
pretty
they- they-
Married to Roger Ebert. He's
un-
dead.
undead.
We know he's dead.
Well, he's
I'm
undead.
obsessed
He's
with his work when he was alive.
So, Brett, you also do something called Aikido. Is that how you say that?
Aikido?
Aikido.
Oh, you do?
And it's a martial art,
Yes.
which is grappling. No?
Yeah. There's no punches, no kicks.
No
so
punches,
everything. So
okay.
everything ends in a throw or a joint lock.
A throw or a joint lock.
Yeah.
And I wanted to retell this story, and I know some of you have heard it before, but, you told me that there is what is it? Aikido?
Aikido?
Aikido.
Yeah.
Got it. It's kind of like Aikido. It's like a Mexican who just started
Keto.
Stopping eating bread. Yeah.
based diet. Stop eating bread. Protect your attacker. This is a concept. Can you explain how does this work in the martial art?
So I think the kind of stories of the guy who started it, O-sensei, they call him.
Ooh. O-sensei?
O-sensei, yeah. The story is sort of like he knew a bunch of these different fighting techniques, so Japanese sword and judo and all these things. And one story I've heard is that he kept getting challenged to combat, and he would keep beating these people who challenged him, and they would end up injured or a broken arm or something. And he was eventually like, I'm sick of this, and I want to figure out a way to sort of have this conflict happen without it being conflicting, like sort of without someone ending up dead or injured or whatever at the end.
Right.
So he developed this style, and that was a thing of like, how do you enter a conflict and sort of use the least amount of energy necessary, kind of use the energy they're coming at you with to end the conflict and nobody gets hurt. But it ends up being very intense, and like the sort of the stability and the focus and all these things that you need to, if someone's coming at you with a punch or trying to grab your arm or something, to like get them down without being like, all right,
Killing the fuck out of them.
Yeah, killing the fuck out of them.
Well, you told me this phrase, and I was like, that is just a juicy little piece of language, and I just chewed on it all day. And anyway, this was not at a great point in my life. This is about 3 months ago. Things are so different now.
Yeah,
Wow,
He's a new
congratulations.
man.
It's really
better.
turning you around.
So basically, I was just, I basically had gotten into speed dating.
Oh, okay.
Because I was
All right.
lonely. So I had done app dating, and then I was like, let me do
But
speed.
you wanted to be less lonely in short bursts.
Yeah.
You didn't want
more
like
or
a
less.
protracted.
Well, speed dating seemed a lot better than app dating at first, and then you end up realizing it's very similar, really,
yeah.
right? You're having a very brief interaction with someone. So anyway, I was very taxed by speed dating, exhausted. It would rob me of all my energy, and so to combat that, I was going to sign up to do 3 speed dates in one day.
Oh, okay.
3 speed dating events.
Yeah.
This would be like 24 dates minimum, probably closer to 30.
To combat exhaustion, he lined 3 up in one day.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
Binge
right, you go to the
speed dating.
gym and you do curls so that you can do one curl, right, with more weight. I guess that was the idea. Or you run farther and farther to be able to run farther, right?
I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
sure,
go with
it was a thought.
Okay,
It was a
it
thought.
was a thought.
It was a thought. It's a theory. Anyway, the speed dating, it was Friday night, and the speed dating company that ran the second of the 3, my gauntlet, canceled. They canceled the event. They canceled it.
It happens.
And they said, there's no refunds. You get credit. And I
that's
said,
rude.
and it's Friday night. It's Friday night at 10 o'clock.
We'll kiss you.
It's tomorrow.
That's the refund.
No, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So I wasn't missing out on any kisses potentially, but I was alone on Friday night. And I said, no, not how businesses work, not how canceled events work. You will refund me. If I cancel, you can give me credit, fine. But if you cancel, you're giving me my money back, honey. No, Mr. Vega, that's not our policy. I don't care what your policy is. You want to go to Chase Fraud Department? I'm going back and forth. And I'm polite with customer service, but I'm pissed. So then again, that's not our policy, sir. It's on the Eventbrite page. And then I noticed on Eventbrite, they didn't actually cancel the event. They closed it. And I was like, you shady pieces of shit. So then I went on Trustpilot, a website that they built for angry people like me. You know it.
I've been on it, yes.
Did you go on it to...
No, I used to, when I worked, my first job out of college was just copy and pasting reviews from review sites to put on Groupons.
It sounds meaningful.
It was.
So I go on a Trustpilot, I write a scathing review, call them scammers, whatever. Then I get the next email and they go, hey, we understand. They hadn't seen the Trustpilot. There was no way. But he just said, we understand you're fighting us, so fine. We're giving you your money back.
Okay, great.
I then get a call from one of the speed dating people. hey, we saw your review on Trustpilot and you called us scammers and we're not scammers. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, thinking really that I was getting called to tell my story. And the guy goes, I noticed you signed up for a straight event. You sure you didn't mean to sign up for a gay one? And I was like, what?
What?
Okay, masculinity. Okay.
Masculinity.
This guy starts going the fuck off on me. He goes, you wrote a lot of lies on Trustpilot. Anybody can write anything online. I could write online that you like little girls. And I was like, sir?
This is elevating.
So am I gay or
am I gay or a pedophile? Pick a lane.
Yeah.
So I start recording the call. This man assails me for about 25 fucking minutes. He's going off. And I'm letting him do it, to be fair. And I should have just hung up, really. But I was like, I'm recording this. I got this guy. I got this guy by the balls. I'm getting this guy fired. At one point, he references having a condo. And I say, you own your condo? He goes, no, I don't own my condo. I rent my condo. And he was gay as well. I don't know if that changes anything. But anyway, then it came to me.
It is interesting that he attacked you, that he still used gay as like
or unless he's like, is he negging you so hard that you
are getting turned on?
That you're,
I was not getting turned on. He was repeatedly attacking me and slamming me. And I thought he was drunk, honestly.
Oh, that's a lot.
But at some point, I remember the famous phrase of Aikido.
Aikido.
Protect your attacker. And so I said, hey, man, I don't really want to get another worker fired. What's the point? Why would I want to do that? So I'm just going to decide that this is a friendly ribbing or roasting and that we should just move past it. So it's okay. It's okay. You've said a lot of things you shouldn't have said, but I'm going to let it go. And I deleted the review, which is what he wanted. And I got 3 free speed dating events from that.
And did you find someone to kiss?
No, because I'm gay. He was right. He was actually right. That's how I learned I'm gay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I'm not a pedophile. That would have been upsetting.
And now you and he are besties.
Now we're gay lovers, and that's why I'm happy.
Do you still rent the condo?
We rent it together. Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah, he's fine.
That's so
he's
sweet.
Fine.
Maybe
he's
one day you'll own.
Club.
Being married to him is fine.
Oh my god! You're married to my husband.
It's your husband.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Danny's also on your guys' insurance.
Oh, cool! Congratulations.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
It's fine.
It's reasonable.
That's fine.
It's reasonable.
All right, we're gonna do this episode soon, but Brett, you have an Africa story, so let's get into this shit.
Tell us about.
Sure. So when I was just at the end of 9th grade, I moved to East Africa, as you do, from
it seems a bit broad.
Albany, New York, and Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
And my dad's job took us out there.
What's your dad do?
He does just a classic.
No.
Yeah, he's in the CIA. No,
poacher.
He does legislative strengthening in the developing world.
Oh, okay.
So he works with legislatures and parliaments to help with modernization, democratization. Moved there, and I'm a white man. And, obviously there's not a lot of white people in Kenya, in Nairobi. And so you tend to just get stared at. And it's not by Kenyans, and it's not a threatening stare. It's more just like, oh, a deer, like that kind of like thing. And then, and I try to combat that. I learned this. It's like if I would immediately engage, if I would immediately greet them or something, then they kind of come out and be like, oh, hey, what's up? But I had to get used to that. Like all the time I would get looked at, just kind of stared at.
When they're looking at you, they're kind of like gawking, like just kind of staring at you like, whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like it's like, okay, look, this white person I haven't seen. Yeah. And I get up one morning and just, I'm like a chunkier Brett. High school, I was chunky, heavy,
Great.
And blessings. And I get up late. I realize I woke up too late. I'm gonna miss the bus. But I know if I run to the bus stop, if I get up there, I run to the bus stop and I realize I missed it.
Oh no!
But I know that I can still catch the bus because it kind of comes. My stop loops around this neighborhood and then comes back on the main road. So if I catch it up at the main road up here, I can get it. But between where my bus stop is and where it comes on the main road is like all of these little shanty shops. These little tin things, and there's maybe like 30 of them along this stretch of the road where you can buy Coke or a cigarette or whatever.
Sure.
And unemployment's very high in Nairobi, so like over 50% of that. And I think it was like, so tons of people would just be sitting
over
there.
50%?
Yeah.
That's so rough.
So people would just be hanging out.
That's a lot.
And so I know that there's going to be a ton of people just sitting there.
A crowd.
And so I take out down the road, and I passed before the trees stop, and there I am running past all these canyons, and it's like, this is an incredible thing for them to see. They have not seen
A white guy running.
Chunky
Do you have
white
a
boy.
backpack?
I got
You
my
have a
backpack on.
Okay, yeah.
I'm chunky. My breasts are jiggling. I'm so hot. I'm like feeling the stairs. Backpack swinging, and they're like taking phones out, being like, "Look at chunky white boy chase his bus! Like, this is incredible." And so they're all looking, and I could see them. I look at them, and I pass, and I remember at one point I passed. There's 3 guys on this side of the road, and I run past them. They're all just sort of staring at me as I pass. I remember one of them had a turban on, a headpiece. I passed them. I look back. All 3 of them are just walking, and all 3 of them just the heads turned fully around, staring at me. And I stopped. And I snapped and I screamed. I went, "Stop looking at me!"
That makes the video
That
even
really
better.
made it. That really
Honestly,
made it.
like you really get
that
them,
kicks it
yeah.
up to like, I am never gonna forget when
You
that kid.
You probably went viral.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're gonna be like, I'll never forget that moment. This
Yeah.
kid screamed.
Oh my god.
Nobody did anything. No change. All 3 guys still staring at me.
Yeah, of course.
And
I'd
did you
stare
catch
you
the
more.
bus?
I switched back. I did catch the bus up there. I get on. Nobody has any idea what happened. Just between me and like 80 Kenyans. Saw what went down. And so yeah, that did not. It didn't change a thing. But I worked something out. I don't know. I lost it.
I like
think,
it.
What a
yeah.
beautiful story.
Thank you.
Well, we've got some silly little situations for you guys today.
Here
Our
we go.
second story, AITA for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean I am. But first, AITA for telling my neighbor to grow up, get a life, and get the fuck over the fact that I painted my house a color he does not like. I bought a house in a community without an HOA. I wanted my home to be my home, and that includes making it look the way that I want. I also chose a neighborhood that already has fun, colorful houses instead of just plain earth tones. I finally got to the point where I could repaint my house. I picked a soft, peachy color with sage, blue, and soft and dark pink accents. Fun and colorful without being too out there. I think if you Google colors blue, sage, peach, you'll see a similar palette. My neighbor Paul fucking hates it and has been complaining since we started the project. He also made his opinion known that he hates our front lawn, which has lots of wildflowers and sunflowers, fun garden flags, and a little free library, etc. Each and every time I've told him I don't care. Truly, I don't. And I've suggested a few times that maybe he'd be happier in an HOA community that has control over everything and forces people into having earth-toned homes. Paul got angry when I suggested that and said he's lived in his home for 15 years and shouldn't have to move. I told him, okay, well, you'll have to learn to live with a little color. Last weekend, I was putting in pavers that my niece and I had painted together. They're all things like ladybugs, turtles, birds, and fun colors. I adore them, and my niece is so excited she gets to be a part of the home. Paul came over to complain yet again, saying it was all a eyesore, and my niece was here, so I just told him, it's time for you to grow up and get the fuck over what I'm doing with my house. He got very pissy and told me that I have no right to talk to him that way. Do I know who I'm talking to, etc.? I told him, go away and get a life. If he has so much free time to moan about a colorful house, maybe he should find a hobby. He stormed off, calling me a nasty piece of work. My niece was cracking up on the side. For the record, no one in my family's uptight. We really don't care about cursing. I know some people still clutch their pearls over it around kids, but she's 15. I'm sure she says worse. Anyway, one of the other neighbors came to tell me he's been flapping his yap about how disrespectful I am to talk to him like that. She told me that she knows he's a pain, but that he's been in the neighborhood forever and that it's worth being nice to him. I don't know. Is telling him to get a life that big of a deal? AITA.
There's a lot going on there.
Wow.
There's a lot going on there.
Well, you don't like these little libraries.
No,
so
I hate them. I hate free little libraries.
Who has a little library in this situation? Was it the OP?
It's the woman who wrote the...
OP.
Yeah.
So they also... So where does that put you?
I was really on board with what she was saying until the free little library came up, and now I am... Now it's changing my conception
It's
of her.
tainted your impression of it.
It's changing.
What's
who I
her
think she
issue
is.
with the free little library?
The free little library is a way for people in high income communities to feel like they own the idea of a library, whereas the library is not just a building, but a service. Services are provided there, and it is not something that we should be trying to privatize. And I feel like free little libraries are like tiny little privatizations of the library system.
I agree that it feels like, well, I'm doing something for the community.
Yeah, and it's
how
like, no,
dare
you're
you
not.
tell me I'm not,
Yeah.
of course I can kick people off my, out of our neighborhood. I have a
Right.
free little library.
Right.
I'm good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I actually made a TikTok about this that kind of did well. Didn't really do well, but did better than my other TikToks.
Congratulations.
And it was just like people will have a free little library, and then housing is unaffordable. It's kind of that same.
Yeah. I hate them for that reason. Because also, like, I only ever find them in high income communities. Like, it is
Yeah.
a sign of gentrification. When
Well,
a free
it's
little
sort of
library
like,
went up near
not
my
only
house.
do I have a house, I also have a tiny house.
Yeah, they cost $400 if you buy them from the website.
The free little library.
Yes,
I'm not bothered by that aspect.
I am.
I'm curious
If you
about
have
what-
$400 and you want to help your community, donate it to the actual library.
Okay, I see you now.
Give it to the actual
I see
library.
you now. This is a good take. I like this take.
It's a great take.
And probably, you see, the people who have the free little libraries, there's probably a real library not far at all from their house.
Exactly. And it's like you could support that library. You could join the library, the friends of.
Rather than your fucking virtue signaling bullshit micro library.
Right, exactly. And that is only just filled with your garbage. You just put a garbage in a birdhouse.
Right. It's always like a scholastic book.
Outliers by
book-
Malcolm Gladwell.
I'm not an extremist when it comes to the issue of tiny little libraries.
Because that doesn't,
but
it's not a decisive factor for you
It's
in
a-
this
It's
case.
not a decisive factor, but it does
It's a
speak to
great
a woman
take.
who isn't as involved in her community as she thinks she is.
and
just
your
because she's put
husband,
some
who has all the good
wildflowers in the garden.
opinions, would concur. Nonetheless,
He would.
this is a neighborhood without an HOA, and I have to say, I've never really viewed it this way, but HOAs, I think, are for a certain kind of person. I actually think that's a pretty strong argument. People who want to live in a horrible, monotonous, copy-paste, cookie-cutter series of homes and who get all butthurt about a fucking horribly ugly home that's soft, peachy color with sage, so that's green.
Yeah.
Sage green?
What was the phrase she said? Google this, and it's like color sage dark
Soft
or
It's like
something.
she Googled it.
Soft, peachy color with sage, blue, and soft and dark pink accents. Or Google colors, blue, sage, peach.
Oh, like all three of those colors together.
Yeah.
That's what she
I
said.
think she's saying if you Google the phrase, colors,
sounds-
blue,
Chocolate
sage,
glazed frosted.
It sounds ugly. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. It's got too much going on. But that's her right. It's her house or their house. This is a guy.
I mean, the suburbs are an inherently fascist project. So to live inside of
Wow,
them
I did
is
not-
to
Fascist or capitalist?
both.
Okay,
They go together.
fine.
I thought Katie was such a charming host on my show. And then we bring her on the pod and she's like, we will annihilate every tiny library.
I mean, she doesn't sound like the most fun person to be a neighbor with, but this guy is. How many times can he come over and say, "I'm annoyed by this"? Yeah.
I say zero. I'm honestly like, bro, like you've got to, and we talked about this on this pod a lot. It's like anytime, look, she has a right to it. It's your property. You have a right to be as ugly as you want and put up 5. You can even put up multiple tiny little
I
libraries.
mean,
if
your
you
whole
want.
house could be a tiny little library.
You gotta have a
as far as
tiny
I'm
bank,
You know?
a tiny church.
concerned. Yeah.
Ooh, they need
know?
to build out the town. I'm into that shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would
Would that
support a
help
tiny
you?
town.
Because
fine.
then it's not so sanctimonious of like, look, it's free. It's more like I'm building a micro
We're like,
town.
oh, this schizophrenic. Okay,
I mean,
now
if you're an artist building a micro town in your front yard, I support you.
kind of sick.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, we won Katie back
Like
over.
Marwin Call.
Yeah,
Like when the guy
yeah,
builds the
like
whole.
Marwin.
Yeah, or is
Welcome
that,
to.
Hereditary? Doesn't she build
She
little?
She did-
she
for
builds
professionally.
miniatures, but she's
It's a job.
Marwin's more
Unwell.
folk art.
Yeah, folk
Now,
art.
let me say this. I do love this insult, which you really never hear. He stormed off calling me a, quote, nasty piece of work. Does that hurt?
It speaks of a specific age for this
Yeah.
man.
How does that play? Like, you nasty piece of work.
you're a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, my mom says piece of
Did
work. all
that
the
ever
time.
hurt? Like, is that, that's not really doing much for me.
I mean, if it's my neighbor.
It's a little at this point in this era, lightweight.
It's very light.
Yeah. Also, like he said, I've been in this house for because he says he's been in this house for. I thought you were gonna be like 30 years,
Yeah,
50
yeah.
years, 15 years.
That's half a mortgage, bro. Relax.
It's not that long.
Well, I guess my question would be to this writer. It's like, how did you introduce yourself to the neighborhood prior to making these rather large changes to your home?
I don't think she addresses that. But to be
She
fair,
does not, but I would.
she
that
does
would be a
address
question to
this.
ask.
I also chose a neighborhood that already has fun, colorful houses. So why is this guy? It sounds like there's other colorful houses, and yet he keeps singling her out, or at least keeps repeatedly making this point to her.
Well, considering that another neighbor came in to triangulate, I have to believe that Paul or whatever is a big presence in the neighborhood, and she has not managed to kind of bridge the gap. So it is more of a personal issue than a housing issue.
Right, because one of the other neighbors came over, and what did they say?
This made me laugh.
Flapping his
Right. That part. But then after that, she's like, but you better. She's like, what did the first neighbor say? Like, so you better try to make peace with him or something.
She
vaguely.
told me that she knows he's a pain, but that he has been in the neighborhood forever, and it's worth being nice to him.
It's worth being nice. Okay. It felt a little like it's worth being nice to him. I guess she's saying like he's never going to leave.
Yeah. And he's like annoying. He's like an annoying guy. So just like get over it.
I think it is. I mean, I think my approach is, and I understand it. People do have eyesore homes. I hate them. You know, I remember actually my dad was really upset. We had like a neighbor behind us, and they were like backyard hoarders. I mean, they were probably indoor hoarders as well, but that didn't bother my dad.
Spill out.
Outside, yeah.
They had like crazy shit in their backyard, like cranes and just crates. Like I don't know what they were doing back there, and it went above.
It's like a Counter-Strike level or something.
Yeah. No, it was like a really good Counter-Strike level, and it went well above the wall. So like we would go into our backyard and we're like looking at their junk hoard.
I was just gonna say, I feel like her saying there's other colorful houses in the neighborhood. I can't tell if she's just saying that.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's like one house that has one wall that's blue. She's
Right.
like, it's so quirky here.
Right.
And then does
That's a
polka dots.
tennis backboard. That's literally not even painted. AITA for telling my neighbor to grow up, get a life, and get the fuck over the fact I painted my house a color he doesn't like. Nonetheless, I think we don't like Paul. Maybe we don't even like OP, but I do think we agree. But tell me if you disagree that this one is not the asshole and Paul is.
I mean, I think Paul is the asshole, but I do think, like, from just a long-term conflict resolution standpoint, she needs to buck up and just, like, suck down her emotions and have pleasant conversations with this loser who lives nearby.
What do you propose to say to someone who comes over to your house and says, this is an eyesore?
I'd say, I always appreciate your perspective.
I'd bring him lemon bars.
Yeah, I'd bring him
You're going to bring him something?
Bring him lemon bars and be like, I know it's I know it's a lot and look, we're not going to change it. But, you know, I just want to let you know that we're happy to be here in the neighborhood, yada, yada. I'd say I'd try to do that kind of stuff of like, I'm not changing my ways, but, you know.
You're a fundamental part of this neighborhood. And
I don't know if I can do that. I applaud that idea, but I'm just like, fuck
I'm trying to
Paul.
protect my attacker.
I mean,
got your ass.
I don't feel like you're protecting your attacker at that point.
I'm buttering up.
bother. So.
You're buttering your attacker.
Yeah.
That might win him over.
Yeah, I'll never. I mean, I think like people
Paul
get
a
too
freak
prideful.
for lemon bars.
Yeah.
Paul's a free for lemon bars?
Yeah.
Can you read that here?
I feel that.
AITA for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean that I am. I'm 20F, enrolled in the laundry program at school where
Wait,
I
what?
pay a lump sum and they do my laundry for me all year.
Oh.
It's very popular at my university and they pick it up from my dorm weekly. My friend, 21F, is obsessed with this and constantly comments on it for some reason. She always comes over and sees my bag and has some random comment to say. She'll say, how could anyone pay for that? To which I always say, why would I ever do something I don't want to do if I can just pay someone else to do it for me? I'm wondering if she's like this to everyone because that would explain why she has few friends. Almost everyone I know uses the laundry program. Her unwanted comments make me like her less. She did it again and was like, quote, what a waste of money. The laundry program is ridiculously expensive and no one can afford that. I simply said that I don't find it expensive at all, that she finds it expensive because she's poor. I'm not, so I'll continue paying for the program. She's furious that I called her poor, but she is. It's just a fact. AITA.
Oh my God. I don't even think we need to. I mean, like, we will discuss this, but like, what a mess.
On all sides?
Big
On
reactions.
all sides.
Yeah.
I'm just ready to let you go, Katie. You're reacting very, very heavily to this.
mean,
so where are you?
It is a truism that in your early 20s, or at least it was for me, maybe you guys feel this way. I don't know. Female friendships are different. You'll often be friends with people you hate. And it's like, why? You're just torturing each other. You're just torturing each other in close proximity.
I came to hate them, but I didn't hate them for a long time.
Yeah, that can happen too. But these two people clearly hate each other. They don't like each other.
I don't. Okay.
Like, why are they torturing each other?
I don't know. I've said stuff like this to my friend. I remember when I lived in New York and I was poor, and she lived in her parents' condo, and she had like a cleaning lady, and
Yeah, I just couldn't be. The person wouldn't be my friend.
I would joke with her, and I'd be like, "Oh, you're a rich B word," and I actually said the B word at the time.
Wow.
I feel
but
sorry. I feel like OP
came out.
doesn't do herself any favors by how she wrote this. I feel like even I feel like obviously she's trying to show herself in a good light. She still doesn't come out very good in this in the end how she writes this. To benefit of the doubt, or to her credit, she was getting sniped quite a bit by this friend. It sounds like
Again and again. But you know what did come out looking really good in this situation?
the laundry service.
program.
I mean, yeah,
The
absolutely.
laundry program.
Laundry program.
It's not just a service, Brett.
Yeah.
It's a program and it's a system.
And most of the
honestly,
college uses it.
almost everyone uses
honestly,
it.
everybody
It's
does.
a lump sum and it's straight up reasonable. Once a week, they come, they take your laundry, and you're done.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be friends with this person on either side. They both sound annoying.
I don't know what if the sniper was
the
fucking
sniper?
cool. The poor one, quote unquote
the
poor
poor
one.
one.
The poor one.
Yeah. What if she's like fucking cool, except just has beef with the OP?
I mean, I'm gonna need to see more proof,
Yeah.
We
right?
have a
Because it's like
phrase-
also like I hate her for also putting herself in this situation. You clearly don't like this person, so why are you coming over all the time?
I'm not seeing that. We have a phrase that I say around here called "money is real," and I do think
that is
it's
true.
Thank you. It's hard to be poor. I get it. It sucks, and we were all poor in college, but varying degrees of poor. Some of us had rich parents, etc. And I do think that the sniper, as we're calling her, is being a little unhinged by repeatedly bringing up the fucking laundry program when it's not something that's leading to a positive interaction.
Who goes and what was that bag again? Oh, the laundry bag. Like you're just over here to like pregame with me. Why do you have to comment on the laundry bag?
Thank you, Brett. She keeps bringing it up. And then what OP did is super shitty, which is I do think it's definitely a pot shot and it's unnecessary to call someone poor. Nobody wants to be called poor, even if they are poor. It's just not a nice thing to say.
I mean, it's unnecessary.
I would respect OP more if she followed that statement up with, she's not. I don't know if she's poor or not. I just had to like get her goat
Yeah.
or something. You know what I mean? Instead of actually,
Obviously, she's poor. She can't afford the laundry program,
Well,
which we've established almost everybody does. It's just plain reasonable.
But then also being like, and she is poor, so it's not weird that I said that.
Yeah.
I think that's shittier even than the calling her poor part.
Definitely.
that,
Also,
that
again,
she actually is poor, well, wouldn't hurt if she wasn't poor.
Of course, it would hurt still.
Not really.
It would totally, yeah. I would
If somebody
want if
called me poor, I'd be like, okay, you think that. But
Wow.
when I was poor,
in
I'd be like, what the
college-
fuck?
I don't know. In college, I'd be like, I don't want to be like already like label. I want to feel that I'll label myself inside plenty that I'm poor.
that's true.
I don't need you to be like, you're poor and we all know you're poor and your whole life is poor and yada yada.
Also, this girl, I have to be real. Like the rich girl, I don't think she's rich. Because like rich people have like a huge vocabulary of ways to tell you that you're poor without saying the words "you're poor."
That's true. She's definitely not old money rich.
She's definitely not
No.
rich.
Like her dad's a software developer and her mom works in marketing.
Old money
Yeah,
rich would
like-
not make a post like this.
Yeah, she'd be like, "You're cute." Like that's what people say
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
come to my
Cute.
apartment.
Yeah.
This apartment
Totally.
is so cute. That means small.
AITA for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean I am. In the end, money is real, and I do feel for the sniper, the poor girl. I don't know if we can do sniper, guys. I feel like we're trying to make her out to have some kind of a weapon here. The poor
No.
girl and the rich girl. I'm comfortable with that.
The only weapon she has is class consciousness. You know what I mean?
I feel like the poor girl is being really fucking annoying, and I feel like the rich girl took a pot shot. It wasn't okay. She got mean. She got nasty. And for these reasons, I'm at everyone sucks here.
Yeah, everyone sucks. Also, like,
Oh.
there is such a solution to this.
I did not expect that.
Stop
Brett.
being friends.
I think I agree. I didn't start that way. I started at the rich girl's the asshole. But I feel like
Classic lib.
we've unpacked I feel like we've unpacked enough of the frequent attacks, you know. And again, maybe situationally, maybe the girl only brought it up twice and she's trying to blow it up to be more, but only based on this information, I think I'm going to say both of the yes.
Well, also, you don't want to if you're actively resenting someone in front of them, and then you're like, we should keep hanging out, go away.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
No, it's true. Yeah, I called out a friend who was being resentful toward me, and then I was like, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, no. He was just committed to being resentful.
That sounds like not a good friend.
We're going to wrap things up here on AITA for writing a rant about the podcast hosts. The pod host and guest are using the phrase, I feel like, way too much. It's an unassertive phrase that weakens your guys' authority of your own logical perspective by making you guys seem uncertain of what you want to mean. It muddies up the line between subjective feelings and rational reasoning. It also inserts unnecessary emotional context to simple point statements, even facts, by giving the impression that your points are on personal emotion rather than facts or logical analysis. It's just an all-around unintelligent phrase to use in conversation, formal or informal, just between friends. You don't need to say, quote, I feel like that OP's friend is being judgmental about her marriage. Just say the friend is being judgmental about her marriage. So I challenge the pod host and any guest hosts on this. For the next 3 episodes you guys record, don't say the phrase, just say your point. It's perfectly fine to make a statement or a fact without this phrase dismissing any counterpoint another person can make to you. Just please stop saying it so damn much.
Wow, you put a lot of English on that.
Yeah,
I
you
feel
really
like that was a fair reading.
I mean, I think it was
Polish.
fair, but it is leading. If I were a prosecutor in Law and Order, I would say
His delivery?
leading. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fair.
But I also feel like, is this person going to write an email about vocal fry next?
They should have started there.
I mean,
she knows the references.
I feel like
She
in that
knows the
sentence.
references. People do write a lot of shit about Shannon's vocal fry and my vocal fry, apparently.
Yeah.
This is about the spot,
Oh
obviously.
my God.
Obviously.
Yeah, this is from our subreddit.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Check.
But I feel like,
How do you feel?
Got him.
I
There you
just
go.
feel like, when you're having a discussion with people, they could get heated.
It could.
It's fine. Sometimes you throw in some filler language to soften it up, not take it too hard. It doesn't need to be serious. We're not in fact in a courtroom where we want things to be dry and sterile, because we want everyone to be vulnerable and to open up and to share stories about how they were a fat white kid in Africa.
This is over the top. This is OTT. I feel like it means I think. Does this person also want people to stop saying I think?
Well, they probably complain about like. You're using like too
surprised.
much. Filler words in general.
What's your biggest filler word crimes?
Honestly.
Honestly, it's kind of bad because it's loaded. Speaking of English,
I say it all the time.
It's
I say honestly. I say listen.
See, that's to me honestly.
listen is good because listen always snaps people. My friend used to do this bit where he would just go, listen,
and you know what I mean.
listen.
Oh, I use you know what I mean all the time, which I only realized because my husband started saying
Listen.
it and it bothered me.
You feel that,
Listen.
right? It grabs you.
It does.
Listen.
You know what I
hate
mean? I
it.
do that one too.
I feel like you know what I mean is a very stand up.
You know what I mean?
Feeling kind of
You know what I
softening
mean?
and kind of like getting the audience to sort of
You know what I mean?
admit that they're on the same page.
I wrote this comment. I feel like, and this is just my opinion, but I think, and no offense to anyone who disagrees, but it seems to me that given this situation, and not always at all times and in all places, but generally speaking, respectfully, in my humble experience, and disclaimer, I am a straight white male and I speak for just myself here, not everyone, and this is not investment advice, but all that is to say, all in all, summarily, in conclusion, at the end of the day, for most intents and purposes, needless to say, and don't quote me on this, honestly, I like ducks.
Oh. I will say, I mean,
That's your reply to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
based on your reply, it does make me think maybe the letter writer is right. Because
Right.
I feel as if
Oh,
we are
she feels.
constantly expected to provide too much context these days. People cannot see
Context
something.
or flag,
Yeah, disclaimers.
Disclaimers.
People are disclaiming their statements at all times to say this is only applicable in these.
I fucking hate it. No,
parameters.
I understand. I actually understand it on that level. I hate when people are like, as a straight person, I'm like, I know you're straight. As a white person, I know you're white. You don't need to be saying it. But yeah,
I mean, I think
it's not funny.
we don't need to always be expecting bad faith readings of of what we say, feel, and think.
We shouldn't feel the need to constantly disclaimer everything we say.
But I think in conversation, I think for the purposes of the podcast that it is, like you said, just filler words.
I thought this is not investment advice, so that was funny.
Yeah,
that was the one you liked?
Yeah, I liked that one.
There were 400.
Did you say intense and purposes or intensive purposes?
Actually, I'll fight with you on that, but I did say in this case intense and purposes.
I mean, that's the right one.
But no, that's wrong.
Intensive
I disagree.
purposes?
No, you're not.
I disagree.
You can disagree all day.
I will
but
disagree with you.
Objective.
No, it's not objective.
Yeah, this
now.
isn't.
No,
I feel
that's
like
not-
this
It's
is
not
a-
objective. Respectfully, I have put a lot of thought into this, and you fall into a category. Both of you apparently fall into a category of people who have not actually thought about the phrase intensive purposes, which is perfectly coherent.
No.
Not what?
No.
You think that the phrase
For all intensive purposes?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
What does that
Okay.
mean?
I will tell you what it
That
means.
doesn't mean anything.
We're gonna look up.
You need the internet to tell you what that means?
Yeah, I mean,
intensive.
you're the one who made up this
So you're
phrase,
saying
so-
intensive isn't a word?
No, it is a word.
No, it is a word.
Of course.
Intensive means
purposes.
involving a lot of effort or activity in a short period of time.
But what? So then, what does for all purposes mean?
For all that would cover every single purpose.
Well, that's not the.
For all intensive purposes refers to all the key purposes. So I might say something like, I have a podcast, and for all intensive purposes, we must put out an episode every Monday.
But that implies that there are purposes that are not intensive.
Well, of course there are. There's a social media presence.
No, don't even sign
There's
on.
a
You can't
subreddit.
sign on to even the base
This is
premise of
Garbo.
this. Yeah, this is Garbo.
It's not Garbo.
This
It's
is full
perfectly.
Garbo.
it
This is full
not-
Greta. This is
Yeah.
full
It is
Greta.
not
It's Greta as
incorrect.
hell.
This is Greta as hell.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's
Greta
Garbo.
as hell.
No. What's
Yeah,
the other
Greta.
one?
Garbo.
It's Greta.
No, I
totally.
heard Garbo.
Yeah, but you call something Greta, that means it's Garbo.
Yeah.
What?
Like Greta, Garbo.
Who's Greta Garbo?
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. These,
Jeez
see,
Louise.
this is the generation.
Yeah, the
Greta
generation
This is
Garbo.
the endless
differences.
intensive purposes.
Yeah.
Intensive purposes is not incorrect.
Did you
That's-
Google
it
Greta
is.
Garbo?
Yeah, I know. I like her.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
I
Great.
feel
Well,
I feel like she's getting slammed for no reason.
we're
No.
keeping her relevant.
Yeah.
No,
honestly.
but we're calling her garbage.
No, we're using her
You're
name.
equating her to garbage.
No.
For all intents and purposes, you're calling her garbage.
No.
We're calling your made up
you're
phrase.
made up
It's not a
Garbage.
made-up
I mean,
phrase.
English
It's-
can change.
Thank
English
you.
can change.
Thank
It's a
you.
living language.
It's perfectly
But-
coherent.
No, it's stupid.
not really that coherent.
It's stupid.
It's perfectly coherent.
Maybe you
stupid.
can.
We're
For
not
all intensive air purposes, airports, international airports deal with commercial aircraft.
Some purposes are more intense than others.
No, you have intent
Yes.
and you have purpose.
They're more central, maybe.
My intent and my
Intensive, that's what
purpose.
intensive means.
No, you're saying for all intent, my intent and my purpose in saying this is XYZ.
Yes.
Well, that's what you're saying when you say your phrase, but I'm allowed to say my phrase, and there's
mean, you
nothing
can say your
wrong.
phrase,
there's
but
nothing
it is-
incoherent about
it.
saying all intensive
So
purposes.
you're not disagreeing that for all intents and purposes is a perfectly acceptable phrase.
And
That
the
exists.
No, I
correct
never
one.
said that. No, there is no such thing as a correct
No,
phrase.
there's the
Each
correct
phrase has their own beauty. In fact, you know what it is?
Okay.
All intensive purposes is my peach house with sage and dark pink
Soft
accents.
dark pink.
Soft dark pink, excuse me. Soft dark pink accents.
That's on my dating profile.
I mean, language is a prison, but I am trapped.
It's a
in
prison. Why are you
how-
mad at language now?
Isn't it? But you could choose for it to be
Yeah,
a field.
there you go. That's beautiful. But your phrase is Garbo.
I do think you need to nail down exactly what intensive purposes means. To
I
really make
have.
the
I've
case.
given you multiple examples.
I
It was
think
a
it
little
could only
mealy.
For
be-
all guys, for all intents and purposes, for all intents and purposes,
Yeah, we heard you.
the airport is a place where airplanes take off and land.
I wouldn't even use
But
it.
for
Yeah.
all
Doesn't matter.
intensive
Yeah, that
purposes, it's a place that deals with commercial aircraft. Those are two perfectly
This is
coherent.
as an example of this is a bad example.
Why?
Because that doesn't mean anything.
neither of
the
those-
sentence
That doesn't mean
anything.
anything.
Take out intents and purposes, and the sentence is still like, where? What are we talking about?
I'm defining what an airport does.
Yeah, you don't use the phrase
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes
to define something.
Yeah,
Okay, what do you use it for?
you use it for like
It's
for all intents and purposes. I think all free libraries should be lit on fire.
I would argue that that's Garbo.
I mean, I think that's
Greta?
that's fair.
You're
I
saying
think
it's
that's
Greta?
Greta. That's
Greta.
Greta. No, I can't really think of
no. For all intents and
no.
purposes, it's like a way of essentializing
Yes.
something.
Oh,
huge.
like essentializing the airport?
No,
Which I
no,
just
no,
did?
like a view, like an opinion.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, let me think of a good example.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my
Okay,
case.
for all intents and purposes, I am the commissioner of this conversation.
Okay.
But for all intensive purposes,
That doesn't
Folks,
mean something.
it's been one heck of an
Yeah, this
episode.
was a
Shout
good
out to Greta
This is
Garbo,
bad.
Catching a Stray. And thank you so much for my guests for joining me, guys. This has been really fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we formed such a connection
Yeah, for
in
sure.
opposition.
This is going to
to-
help us a lot.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love playing against my guests. Bye.
Bye.